The abyss. I never imagined I'd be staring into it. But when Mr. Albright, my landlord, rapped on my door, his shadow falling long and cold, I knew the options had withered to dust. 3 months overdue. A chasm of debt. No lifeline. And then, he dangled a proposition. A silken, poisoned thread I should have severed. But I grasped it. Before we dive into the shadows, if you're finding yourself drawn into this story, could you do me a huge favor and hit that like button and subscribe? It truly helps this channel more than you know. Your support means everything. Now, let the descent begin. I flinched at the intrusive knock. My worn robe had gaped, exposing a sliver of bare thigh, but a bone-deep exhaustion had stolen my capacity to care. I pulled the door open. Mr. Albright stood there, his eyes not so much looking as consuming me. A slow, deliberate drag from my disheveled hair to my bare feet. "You're 3 months behind, Maya." His voice was deceptively mild. I clutched the robe tighter, a flimsy shield. "I know, Mr. Albright. I need a little more time." My voice was a dry whisper. He stepped inside, uninvited, shutting the door with a soft click that echoed like a cell door locking. The air grew heavy, charged. His gaze, a physical touch, lingered shamelessly. "Ashamed to see a woman like you, struggling," he murmured, his voice smooth as aged whiskey, each word a caress. "So beautiful, yet so utterly helpless." A scalding heat crawled up my neck. "I'll figure something out," I stammered, desperate to believe it. He sighed, a theatrical sound, shaking his head. "Time, my dear, doesn't pay the bills." I'd exhausted every avenue. Extra shifts that blurred into a sleepless haze, reluctant loans from friends who now avoided my calls, cutting back until I was living on fumes. Nothing had been enough. "Please," I breathed, the word tasting of ash, "just a little longer." He studied me, a strange glint in his eyes. "Or, perhaps there's another way?" My stomach plummeted, then clenched into a tight, cold knot. There it was. The unspoken thing, the shadow that had lurked in his polite inquiries, now dragged into the stark light. What do you mean?" My voice was barely audible. A humorless smile touched his lips. "Come now, Maya. You're an intelligent woman. You know precisely what I mean." The small room seemed to shrink, the walls closing in. My thin robe felt transparent. "No one has to know," he purred, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "Just a private arrangement, between us." I hesitated, my heart hammering against my ribs like a trapped bird. He smirked, a predator enjoying the fear in his prey, watching me squirm on the hook of my desperation. "I can make all your problems evaporate." A shaky breath escaped me. No choices. No escape routes. Just him, his offer hanging ripe and rotten in the air. Slowly, a fraction at a time, I nodded. His smile deepened, triumph etched in every line. Then, his hand reached out, not for money, but for the belt of my robe. "Good girl." Mr. Albright led me into the bedroom, his grip on my arm firm but unhurried, a chilling prelude. The air inside felt thick, pressing against my skin as I stepped across the threshold. The cloying scent of his aftershave, mingled with something deeper, starkly masculine and unnervingly familiar, flooded my senses. He wasted no time. Standing at the edge of the unmade bed, he undid his own belt with a slow, deliberate motion. The soft clink of metal against metal sent an involuntary shiver through me, a tremor of what was to come. "You know what to do, sweetheart." His voice was a low command. A lump formed in my throat, choking me. I hesitated, my fingers tightening into fists at my sides, nails biting into my palms. His lips curved into a smile that was all control, a sliver of amusement glinting in his eyes. "Don't act so scandalized, Maya. You agreed, remember?" A strange, nervous heat curled low in my stomach, an electric current of dread and something else I dared not name. I swallowed hard against the dryness in my mouth, then, with a feeling of inevitability, I lowered myself to my knees before him. His fingers threaded through my hair, a possessive gesture, as I leaned in, his body heat, his scent, suddenly overwhelming. Hesitantly, I pressed my lips against him, moving with a careful uncertainty. He exhaled sharply, his fingers tightening almost imperceptibly in my hair, guiding me. The guttural sounds he began to make, low in his throat, sent an unexpected, forbidden thrill through me. I shouldn't have felt anything but disgust, but a treacherous part of me responded. His breathing deepened, his posture tensing as he began to lose himself in the sensations, in me. And in that moment, a peculiar, heady sense of control, of power, stirred within the chaos of my shame. Just as I found a tentative rhythm, he pulled away abruptly, his breathing ragged. He was barely holding back, his eyes dark with a raw need. "Get on top," he commanded, his voice thick, strained. I obeyed, a strange numbness guiding my limbs. I stood, letting the robe fall completely open as I moved onto the bed, straddling him. His hands immediately found my thighs, sliding up my skin, squeezing as if to assure himself of my reality, to feel every inch of me. "That's it," he murmured, his gaze locked on mine, intense and devouring. I reached down, my fingers trembling as I aligned myself with him. A sharp, involuntary gasp escaped my lips as I sank down, taking him inside me. He groaned, his fingers digging into my hips, branding me. "You feel even better than I imagined." I tried to ignore the treacherous warmth that spread through me at his words. "This is just a transaction," I told myself, a desperate litany. A means to an end. But as I began to move, a deep, undeniable pulse of pleasure rippled through me, a betrayal enacted by my own body. It responded with an eagerness that horrified and thrilled me, craving more of what I should have despised. I bit my lip, schooling my features into a mask of neutrality, but inside, the heat coiled tighter, a slow burn spreading with every hesitant, then bolder, movement. "Go on, Maya," he urged, his voice strained. "Ride me like you mean it." His grip was firm, guiding my hips, setting a rhythm that my body instinctively followed. I did as he commanded, my pace quickening, my breathing becoming uneven. Each thrust sent another wave of illicit sensation through me, making it harder and harder to maintain the pretense that I wasn't, on some terrifying level, enjoying this. He smirked up at me, a knowing, cynical expression, as if he could see straight through my fragile facade. "You like this, don't you?" he murmured, his voice a low taunt. "No," I lied, my breath hitching as I moved faster, harder, driven by something I no longer understood. His grip tightened, his body rising to meet mine in a primal, perfect rhythm. The tension between us, a palpable entity, grew deeper, heavier, coiling towards an inevitable snap. I clenched my jaw, desperate to hold back any sound, any moan that might betray the conflict raging within me. "Keep going," he growled, his own control slipping, his eyes never leaving mine, drinking in my every movement, every unspoken, unwilling reaction. I dug my nails into his chest, holding on as a tidal wave of pleasure built inside me, threatening to spill over, to consume me. His breath hitched, his body tensing beneath me, coiling like a spring. And then, with a final, shuddering exhalation, he found his release, his hands locking me in place as he arched against me. I followed seconds later, my body trembling uncontrollably from the sheer intensity of it, a cascade of sensations I couldn't fight. But I swallowed my moans, my own release a silent, internal explosion, keeping my expression as unreadable as stone as I collapsed onto him, my body still humming with a strange, vibrant energy. For a long moment, we just lay there, our breathing heavy and ragged in the charged silence, skin damp and warm. Then, slowly, carefully, I moved off him, sitting on the edge of the bed, the weight of what I'd done settling upon me. I didn't speak. What was there to say? But deep down, in a place I hadn't known existed, I acknowledged a devastating truth. I had, in some dark, inexplicable way, enjoyed every forbidden second of it. And, I knew with a chilling certainty, so had he. Okay, let's pause for a breath. That was intense. What's going through Maya's mind right now? What choice will she make if another offer comes? If you're gripped by this story, please consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell so you don't miss what happens next. Your engagement really helps the channel. Now, back to Maya's predicament. I sat at the edge of the bed, pulling the robe around me, though it felt utterly pointless now, a flimsy attempt to cover what had already been so thoroughly exposed. My skin still tingled, my breath still unsteady. I could feel his eyes on me, watching, waiting, that knowing amusement back in his gaze. "You surprised me, Maya," he said, his voice once again smooth, almost casual. "Didn't expect you to enjoy yourself quite that much." Heat, sharp and shameful, flickered in my stomach. I ignored it, pushing it down. "It was just a deal," I murmured, the words feeling hollow even to my own ears. He chuckled, a dry, humorless sound. "Sure, sweetheart. If that's what you need to tell yourself." Silence stretched between us, thick and uncomfortable. I should have felt a crushing wave of shame, of self-loathing. But I didn't. Not entirely. A rebellious, treacherous part of me had responded to his touch, had found a perverse pleasure in the degradation, a part one was terrified to acknowledge. "I have another proposition for you," he said, breaking the silence. I glanced at him, wary. "What do you mean?" He leaned back against the headboard, his shirt still open, revealing a glimpse of his chest. His expression was unreadable, calculating. "You enjoyed that. I know you did. And Maya, there are men out there who would pay very good money for a woman like you. A woman who can give them what they want and perhaps even enjoy it herself." I stiffened, a cold dread washing over me. "You're joking." "Not at all," he replied, his eyes watching me closely, gauging my reaction. "You said yourself you're out of options. But you don't have to be. You could turn this situation into something quite lucrative." My breath hitched. This was different. This was. That's not the same. This was just, I stopped, unable to find the words to define the abyss I had just crossed. "Just what, Maya?" His smirk deepened, twisting his words into a taunt. "Just a favor? Just a bit of fun to pay the bills?" I turned away, my mind racing, a maelstrom of conflicting emotions. Disgust warred with a strange, dark curiosity. I should have been repulsed by his suggestion, by him. But the horrifying truth was, he was right. I had found some pleasure in it. And now, the thought of doing it again, of being desired, perhaps even of wielding this newfound, dangerous power, of making something, anything, out of the wreckage of my life, it didn't seem as impossible, as abhorrent, as it should have. "It's your choice, of course," he said, standing up, calmly buttoning his shirt as if they'd just discussed the weather. "You don't have to say yes. But if you do. I happen to know two gentlemen who would pay very well for an evening with someone like you." A chill, colder than any I'd felt before, ran down my spine. Not just one. Two. I swallowed hard, the sound loud in the sudden stillness. It should have been an easy, unequivocal no. But the word wouldn't form. "How much?" The question escaped my lips before I could stop it, a quiet, desperate sound. His smirk widened into a predatory grin. "More than you've ever made in a single night, Maya. Enough to solve your current problems and then some." I exhaled slowly, my pulse hammering a frantic rhythm in my ears. One night. Two men. A choice that could irrevocably alter the course of my life. I lifted my chin, a spark of defiance, or perhaps desperation, igniting within me. Slowly, deliberately, I nodded. "All right." Mr. Albright grinned, already reaching for his phone. "Good girl," he purred. "I'll make the arrangements." The next evening, I stood before the antique mirror in my small apartment, smoothing a ridiculously expensive-looking dress over my hips. It was tight, sinfully low-cut, revealing just enough to be tantalizing. Mr. Albright had picked it out himself, along with a pair of vertiginous heels that made my legs look impossibly long. I barely recognized the woman staring back at me, her eyes wide and shadowed, a stranger in a borrowed skin. My hands trembled slightly as I attempted to adjust my hair, a cascade of dark waves Albright had also suggested. Why was I so damn nervous? I had already made my choice, hadn't I? There was no turning back now. You look perfect, Mr. Albright murmured from the doorway. His eyes roamed over me, slow and deeply approving, like a connoisseur appraising a prized acquisition. They'll adore you. I swallowed hard, forcing a slow exhale through my nose. Who are they? Friends of yours? Generous ones, he smirked, his gaze lingering on the curve of my hip. You give them a memorable night, Maya, and you'll never have to worry about rent, or another knock on your door, again. A sharp rap on the door. My breath caught. They were here. Mr. Albright's smirk deepened. Showtime, sweetheart. I turned towards the door, my heart pounding a wild tattoo against my ribs as I reached for the handle. And then, I opened it. Two men stood there, their eyes dark, expressions unreadable, their expensive suits doing little to hide the power in their frames. And they were here. For me. I led them into the room, my pulse a frantic drum against the sudden silence, each step weighted with a strange, intoxicating blend of trepidation and anticipation. My new heels tapped softly against the worn wooden floor, the only sound in an atmosphere suddenly charged with an unspoken, raw energy. They followed closely, their presence immense, almost suffocating, surrounding me. Two sets of eyes, unwavering and intense. Two men whose entire attention was focused solely, unnervingly, on me. I had agreed to this. A part of me, a dark, newly awakened part, even wanted this. But still, something deep inside me twisted, a final flicker of hesitation warring with a dangerous spark of excitement. The taller one, broad-shouldered, with an air of effortless confidence in the way he carried himself, was the first to reach for me. His touch landed at my waist, firm, deliberate, his fingertips pressing lightly against the fabric of the dress, as though committing every curve to memory. The other, leaner, with sharper eyes that seemed to miss nothing, quiet but intensely observant, lingered just behind. His breath, warm and surprisingly minty, brushed the sensitive skin on the back of my shoulder, sending an unexpected ripple down my spine. Let's take care of this, shall we? The first one murmured, his voice a low rumble. His fingers brushed over the strap of my dress, teasing at the fabric as his gaze met mine, a silent challenge. Slowly, layers of carefully constructed pretense and expensive fabric slipped away, pooling around my ankles with an almost sighing ease. Hands followed, exploring, learning, appreciating, as the cool air of the room kissed my newly exposed skin. I reached forward in turn, a newfound boldness surging through me. My fingertips traced the firm, sculpted lines beneath their tailored clothes, my touch both testing their response and asserting my own unexpected agency in this illicit theater. Their eyes never left me, watching, waiting, their intensity a brand. A slow, deliberate exhale left my lips. There was no hesitation now, only a strange clarity. I wanted to give them exactly what they were waiting for, what they had paid for. I moved with careful, almost reverent intention, my fingers working through the intricate closures of their belts, undoing each one at a measured pace, feeling the coiled tension arching beneath the layers of fine fabric between us. Their breathing deepened, muscles shifting and hardening under my exploration, a palpable warmth radiating against my touch. A quiet, guttural sound escaped the first man, a deep note of raw appreciation, as he tilted my chin upward with a gentle finger. He met my gaze, something unreadable, almost dangerous, swirling in the depths of his expression. Just like that, he murmured, his voice smooth as velvet, yet edged with something darker, something predatory. A familiar, forbidden heat curled through me, something both exhilarating and terrifying in the way they watched me, their focus absolute. My knees bent, movements deliberate and fluid, I lowered myself, my fingers still wrapped around them both, their heat a tangible pressure against my skin. One hovered near my lips, a silent, potent invitation, waiting for my decision. I leaned in, welcoming him, tasting the salt and heat, tracing his rigid shape with deliberate, practiced care that surprised even myself. Above me, he inhaled sharply, his fingers weaving through my hair, guiding me with the lightest, almost imperceptible touch. The second man wasn't forgotten. My other hand worked him with just as much focused attention, teasing, stroking, drawing out each subtle reaction, each hitched breath. His fingers brushed the curve of my jaw as he studied me, his gaze absorbed, intense, as if memorizing every nuance of my expression. Their combined presence, the quiet, ragged sounds they made, the sheer, unadulterated tension winding through the space between us like a living thing, it sent a slow, deep, molten warmth spreading through the pit of my stomach. "That's it," one of them murmured, his voice thick, heavy with a potent satisfaction. "Just like that." The words, the approval in his tone, sent another intoxicating rush through me. They let me move at my own pace, letting me explore, letting me lose myself in them, in the act, in the strange power I felt wielding their desire. Then, one of them shifted back slightly, clearing his throat as though forcibly regaining a sliver of focus. "Come here," he said, his voice low, steady, a command wrapped in silk. "We're just getting started." I settled onto the wide mattress, my breath uneven, my body thrumming with a strange, vibrant anticipation that was almost painful. The taller man positioned himself between my legs, his fingertips drawing slow, deliberate circles along the sensitive skin of my inner thighs, teasing, heightening the already unbearable tension. The other moved beside me, his hand finding my chin, gently tilting my face toward him, his gaze locking onto mine with a quiet, burning intensity. "Let's see just how sweet you are," the first one murmured, his voice deep, laced with a dark amusement. Then he lowered himself, his breath warm against my skin a moment before the first, tentative flicker of his tongue against me sent an electric shudder through my entire frame. A sharp, helpless gasp caught in my throat as his lips and tongue began to explore me, his touch slow, patient, maddeningly deliberate. My fingers curled into the expensive sheets, gripping them tightly, as each perfectly placed caress, each knowing flick, sent another supercharged ripple of sensation through me. The second man leaned in, his mouth brushing against mine with deceptive softness before deepening the kiss, his lips parting against mine, taking, demanding. I welcomed him, letting the warmth of him, the taste of him, consume me, muffling the increasingly desperate sounds escaping my throat as a vortex of pleasure began to build between them, with me at its center. They moved in a perfect, devastating rhythm, one unraveling me with his mouth, the other drawing me deeper and deeper into the kiss, his fingers threading through my hair, keeping me close, anchored in the storm of sensation. "She's incredible," one of them murmured against my skin, his voice laced with a raw admiration that sent a fresh wave of heat through me. I should have felt nervous, I should have hesitated, I should have felt something other than this overwhelming, consuming desire. But I didn't. I wanted more, so much more, and somehow, they could see it, sense it. They moved me effortlessly, guiding me, shifting me into a new position as if they already knew what I needed, what my body craved, even before I did. Now I was on all fours, my body still trembling, still buzzing from their touch, from the things they were making me feel. The second man, the one who had been watching, waiting, so patient, until now, moved behind me. His hands, surprisingly steady, settled on my waist, grounding me. "You ready for more, Maya?" he asked, his voice low, intimate, knowing. I barely had time to register the question, let alone respond, before he pressed forward, a slow, measured, inexorable pressure that sent a deep, unrelenting, molten warmth spiraling through me from the inside out. My breath hitched, my fingers tightening against the cool sheets as my body adjusted to the feel of him, to the delicious fullness. He groaned softly, a sound of pure satisfaction, his grip securing me in place, his movement steady, deliberate, powerful, as if savoring every drawn-out moment. The first man moved in front of me, his fingers skimming my jaw, gently coaxing my gaze upward. "Let me feel you," he murmured, his eyes blazing. I parted my lips, welcoming him, the heat of him against me, the steady, reassuring rhythm of his breath mixing with mine. "Just like that," he whispered, his thumb brushing along my cheek, his fingers tangling into my hair, holding me captive. They moved together then, a perfectly synchronized assault on my senses. Each guided me, their rhythms syncing, one keeping my body steady and pliant, the other keeping my focus locked entirely on him, on the sensations he was creating. A quiet, desperate moan finally escaped my throat, the vibrations making the man in front of me inhale sharply, his fingers flexing almost painfully against my skin. Behind me, the second man shifted, his pace becoming more fluid, more urgent, drawing another helpless gasp from me as the warmth pooled deeper, hotter, within my core. "You love this, don't you?" one of them murmured, his voice a teasing, knowing caress against my ear. I whimpered softly, my body betraying me with every arch, every involuntary tremor. The truth was evident in every movement, every ragged sound I made. I did. God help me, I loved every forbidden, shameful second of it. They weren't finished. Not even close. They moved me again, lifting me with an ease that was startling, shifting me seamlessly into a new position, guiding me exactly where they wanted me. Now, I was atop the first man, his hands firm and possessive on my hips, grounding me, his intense gaze meeting mine, a flicker of dark satisfaction playing across his lips. "Let me see how much you want this," he murmured, his grip tightening just enough to steady me, to command me. A slow, shuddering breath escaped my lips as I sank down onto him, a deep, profound warmth building inside me, the delicious stretch sending another uncontrolled shudder down my spine. His head fell back against the pillows, a quiet, strangled groan slipping from his lips as I began to move against him, with him. But behind me, the second man wasn't done. I felt his touch first, teasing, testing, his fingers exploring the sensitive curve of my lower back, waiting for my reaction. A sharp, indrawn breath left me, anticipation, sharp and sweet, curling through my stomach. A flicker of hesitation was met with an even deeper, more insistent sense of want. He leaned forward, his breath hot and moist against my ear. "Take your time," he murmured, his voice a dark promise. "I'll guide you through it." I exhaled, my body tensing, adjusting, a slow, gradual, exquisite acceptance as he pressed forward, joining us, completing a circuit of pure, unadulterated sensation. The heat between us, around us, intensified, the moment stretching, becoming infinite, our bodies sinking together in a perfect, primal rhythm. "That's it," one of them groaned, the sound raw, almost pained. "Just like that." I wasn't sure who spoke. I was too lost in it, too overwhelmed by the way they moved with me, their touch, their breath, their bodies keeping an impossible, perfect pace with mine. They worked in tandem, a symphony of touch and sensation, one steadying my hips, the other pressing closer, deeper, their movements precise, controlled, yet utterly abandoned. The pressure built slowly, inexorably, spreading through me in wave after devastating wave. My breath came faster, shorter, as the sensation coiled tighter and tighter, a spring wound to its breaking point. "You're incredible," one of them murmured, his voice reverent, filled with something raw and untamed. "Look at her," the other whispered, his fingers skimming my spine, making me shudder violently. Completely lost in it. I was. I couldn't hold back anymore. The tension inside me, coiled for an eternity, reached its absolute peak, a final, deep, convulsive pull that unraveled me completely. Warmth, hotter than anything I'd ever known, crashed through my body in relentless waves. And then, a sharp, strangled inhale from beneath me, his fingers pressing bruises into my skin, his body tensing, his rhythm faltering, breaking. A low, guttural groan from behind me, his grip steadying me as he let go, following right after, his release a hot flood. The moment stretched, breathless and infinite, before slowly, gradually, fading into a spent, pulsing warmth. The room settled into a profound silence, the only sound the slowing, ragged rise and fall of our collective breaths. In the quiet aftermath, as the world slowly seeped back in, I never expected to feel this. A strange sense of calm. I never expected to want more, to crave the oblivion they offered. But now, lying between them, their scents mingling on my skin, I can't stop the thoughts from racing, the desires from stirring. This path, stumbled upon in desperation, felt terrifyingly right. So, I have to ask you, was this a fall from grace, or the first step onto a path Maya was always meant to walk? What do you truly think? Share your uncensored thoughts in the comments below. And if this story resonated deep within, if you want to explore more of these hidden desires and complex choices, please show some love by liking this video and subscribing for more. Your support keeps these narratives alive and daring. Until the next shadow calls.